Hey guys, this is the Ecron Writer here. Welcome you to the finale of Conquest of the Blue Planet. Last time, Cecil has regained his senses and is fighting against Domin. War has been declared on the Tenebrae as well as the Injukhal. Rydia, Edge, Kain, Yang, the Eidolons are going on a full-blown assault on Tenebrae before any more of the world should be enslaved and conquered. And Edward, believe it or not, has actually saved their lives as he was playing the harp to reverse the dark energy that Domin and the drums possess. But it's just not enough. So Cecil actually fought against Domin with all his might, and Rydia actually casted the black magic spell Stop on the Injukhal and the drums so that they wouldn't keep recuperating and they wouldn't keep getting stronger as the others would suffer from it, including the Eidolons, and become vulnerable. So, while Cecil was fighting with Domin, Kain actually came to his aid. So Kain and Cecil are gonna fight against Domin and save the entire world. Oh my god, I am so looking forward to this. I cannot wait to do this. I can't wait to finish the fic for Final Fantasy IV. Yes! This is gonna be epic, guys. I promise you that. Alright, Chapter 6. Hello everyone, the Ecron Writer here, and this is indeed the finale of this epic. Cecil and Kain are facing against Domin, and Rosa's fate is in their hands now. By the sudden attack from above, Domin slowly rose up with his headdress completely askew. Ugh. This form will never suffice. His body looked as he was hurling, but it curled up. By the time he straightened it, his body was engulfed in light. Cecil and Kain shielded their eyes, not noticing him leap into the air. When the sphere finally cleared, his true form was revealed. And basically, this is a design choice that one of my collaborators came up with. You'll see soon enough. Everyone, including the Injukhal, were aghast as they saw him. By the time he transformed, Deimos, his real form, used all his might to knock the Excalibur from Cecil's hands. Kain volunteered to take the offense while he takes the defense instead. He knew he could always count on him. There's no way he can hold you back now. This time, we fight together. Just as they would against the Mist Dragon and Zeromus. Kain focused while Cecil conjured Protect and Shell on both of them. Deimos realized they were boosting their defenses. Let out a roar as deep and menacing like a chimera's. Luckily, Kain was able to leap into the air and avoid the paralysis while Cecil below succumbed to it. The evil lance pierced into Deimos' body. He saw his friend predicament, tossed him a remedy. His body was flimsy again. The dragoon focused once more, and the monster let out a volley of fire from his maw, although it wasn't like any normal elemental spell. In fact, it almost looked like lava emitting from him. The unfortunate duo was deeply burned. "What is this? Could it be Viraja?" It was too painful for either of them to move. They saw Deimos inhale and unleash another fiery breath that looked slightly brighter than the last attack. Still very powerful, his breath could also trigger Faraga as well. Cecil felt an intriguing sensation, almost as if he felt lighter and more tranquil. His heart began to feel warmer, and he heard a familiar whisper. "Cecil. Rosa?" Kain looked over and wondered what the paladin was saying. Before the scorching onslaught hit, they were encased in diamond-shaped force fields. Before he could use another one, he was engulfed by his own flames as they bounced back. The chain Virago was reflected. Cecil's teammate wondered what the hell was going on since they couldn't cast Reflect themselves. "It's Rosa, Kain. I can hear her. She's within me. Within us. Fighting alongside us. I can feel my spirit being lifted. She's here." Now's the time, Cecil. Grab your blade and fight this abomination. I believe in the both of you." They were awed. They saw Deimos drop to the ground. "Cecil, hurry!" Cecil obliged as he ran and grabbed the Excalibur completely intact. It didn't take long for Deimos to recover. He soared again and used a familiar sound to the paladin. A war cry. It made him dazed as his mind drifted back to the Injukhal and Domin. Kain, however, wasn't affected. He had no knowledge since the airship crashed. "Cecil?" Never responded. Instead, he lunged at him. He avoided the attack and realized he was subordinate to the monster again. "Cecil, listen to me. You're just confused. Snap out of it." There was no avail. The fight dragged on. So, Deimos raised and gave chase. In order to avoid more damage, he jumped. The landing was aimed at Cecil, but the monster knocked Kain down. Together, they plummeted to the ground. Cecil was no longer confused, but he and Kain were getting weaker. Within the heap, Cecil decided to cure themselves. Heal Domus instead. They'd forgotten that Reflect was still in effect. With an ear-piercing screech, Deimos unleashed another Faraga spell. Only this one went through all of their defenses. It was like an enormous firebomb as they were engulfed. Together they went down. Deimos looked down at the fallen warriors, laughed his Their friends looked upon the battlefield as the Injukhal, Riddy and the others felt torn. They wished they could do something. The red men and the brainwashed fighters started to snicker at their master's victory. Then, Kain's fingers started to twitch and Cecil's body lightened. Deimos glanced curiously at what was going on. "They are not dead yet." Looked over the inactive bodies, and as he went to Cecil's, he was slashed by the holy blade. Deimos cried in sheer pain. Paladin glowed until he stood up completely, as did Kain. The dragoon used the augment Last Stand. There was still a small portion of his stamina left. While Cecil used Rearise thanks to Rosa's involvement, he could tell it was her since he did it once. Before at the Sylph Cave while he faced his doppelganger. So... But how? Their scars dissipated. "Rosa?" Yes, Kain. Yes, Kain. We can feel her now." "Light shall never overcome the darkness. I will finish with you." "Kain, distract the monster long enough. I have an idea." Kain, distract the monster long enough. I have an idea. Are you sure? What do you have in mind? Trust me." Eventually he nodded. Most of Deimos' attacks were connected to his assailant. Some managed to hit Cecil, yet he was still conjuring something. He wasn't sure what, but he knew that Rosa had the right idea. During the spell, he countered with his Excalibur when Deimos got too close. The fire spells and the ailments were becoming quite a burden. Cecil still kept on it, healing them, using potions, elixirs. There were no time for magic spells. When the duo were on their last legs, the paladin's body began to glow. His final blow was holy, combining Cecil's essence along with Rosa's, with her leading the conjuration. The attack completely obliterated the monstrous form. The beam of light caused him to roar and fall. It was almost like an earthquake when Deimos crashed to the ground. Even part of Tenebrae crumbled to the ocean. Despite the destruction, Deimos, as his human counterpart, was still barely alive. It won't cause a tsunami, mind you. Cecil momentarily felt normal again. He got his bearings, marched up to him, and grabbed him by the neck. For your slaves, Domin. You have lost your power over them. They have every reason to rise up against you. Free them! They are mine. Forever! Surrender, Domin. It's over. You've lost! Walking up to Domin Cecil's side with the able lance drawn. Kain, Cecil, I will no longer hesitate. There was a deep voice. Everyone heard the call, were in total shock. They knew exactly who it belonged to. Brother? Kolbez. It can't be! But how? Rydia, Edward, Young, and Edge followed the thick forest. They all gazed up at the shadow dragon. He was speaking telepathically. Do not fret, my brother. I am still in slumber, yet I have witnessed all the chaos Domin and his tribe has caused. I'm only here to make things right on Earth. However, I must be brief. Brother! Domin couldn't believe what he saw. What? Who are you? I'm your worst nightmare. His serpentine tail wrapped up Domin in a tight grip. He lifted him up high above the sky while the victim kept struggling. No! No! Just then its fangs began to glimmer, ironically since they were completely black as night will ever get. It sneered as it stared at its hapless prey. No! 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 Ah! Shadow Dragon reared back its head, and while he screamed, it actually did Black Fang. Everything fell deathly silent as the creature of shadow unraveled and dropped Domin to the sea below, never to be seen or heard ever again. Plopped and sunk into the current like a single stone, positioned himself. It is done. You needn't fear nor worry of him any longer. Cecil continued to look at the cursed dragon, yet he felt sorry that he had to go and continue to sleep. Brother, thank you. Just like that, it faded away, revealing Theodore's eyes and his smile. Cecil grinned back, now knew that his brother was there for him. It was an act of redemption by slaying a user of darkness. Everyone, including him, would no longer fear or be under the Injukhal's evil influence. The war was finally over. Edge heard a distant moan. Oh. Sure enough, it was actually Case. Forgive me. I cannot cure him, Master. It was actually Izioy. Forgive me. I cannot cure him, Master. He's too long gone. Even the white mages offered, yet they could do so much. Master Edge. No, don't talk. You must save your strength. Listen, for my last request, wish her well, and give her my bandana. If we should ever have a son or daughter, gift him or her this. Nursemaid gave a claw to him. The fallen ninja smiled. I promise to carry on the ancient traditions and our sacred arts. This will be my legacy. Sayonara, Master. Kaze! Kaze! All he did was drop his grip. His body became lifeless. Edge wasn't in the mood for revenge nor grief. He knew from this war that death was inevitable. His students really admired his bravery. We'll take him to Eblon. He'll be buried in the cave alongside my parents' graves. We'll make the arrangements as soon as possible. Who can build a stretcher and help me carry him? All the ninjas volunteered. They didn't have the will to fight aggressively. Edge was so relieved for their immense cooperation. Went straight to work. He hardly noticed the commotion outside. Look! It's a miracle! Sure enough it was. There were endless fields of plants that were lush and bright. It almost appeared they were sparkling. Everyone was amazed just looking at them. They've never seen anything like it. Not even Cecil. Could this be the glamour greens? Yes, they are. The group turned and saw Redman walk to them. So did another Injukhal. Do not raise your weapons. We're not here to fight. Never thought we would ever see them again. You all knew about the glamour greens? Throughout those dark moons, the plants began to die. We were all suffering from an infinite famine and disease because of their scarcity. We were hoping for the day we would see the light and peace would reign supreme. Yet we continued to endure in the chaos. That was when Chief Abdullah prophesied me. Not just to restore your land, but the glamour greens as well, to cure all your ailments. Indeed, you are correct, Cecil. But why was Domin so eager to cause so much war and mayhem? Alas, he was always this way. Some of us lost what was so dear, and yet we began to grow impatient. Then we've corrupted ourselves, as did Dragon Rose. A lot of us knew nothing but fear, tragedy, and despair. That is awful. Well, at least the darkness has ended. Domin's gone. Your land has been restored, and I think it's all thanks to his demise in that holy spell. Man, was it an astounding sight. I'm surprised Cecil could do it. He did it because Rosa was with us, Rydia. The crystals should have their light too. We should bring them back. Cecil kept gazing at the herb, never letting his eyes stray away. I see the greens are so important to you, he said. Paladin looked up. Oh, yes. My wife, Rosa. She's very sick. She could be dying. She's also with child. Just please, help me use them. It's the only way she could live again. I can't lose her. I see. She means a great deal to you, as does your child. I will fly with you. Take me to your airship and to Baron. What's happening to them? We are being reunited with our chieftain and the Great Spirit. Hazamai. They're all disappearing. We do not have much time. Take me to her. At a moment's notice, the second airship arrived at its own kingdom completely intact. Cecil piloted the vessel, while Yang, the Injukhal shaman, Rydia, and the others, including, went with him. Kain took the Enterprise while dropping off Gecko and the ninjas. Kay's body would be preserved until the sensei returns. He also arrived at Fabul, where he unloaded the monks. Lastly, went to Mysidia, drop off the mages. The elemental crystals were returned. The former captain of the Red Wings landed the lesser superior airship through the opening. Medicinal Man just completed crunching glamour greens. Are they ready? Yes, but I must blend them with some kind of a hot brew. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm sure Sheila will have some tea you can use. It'll go perfect with the greens. Young let him in, only this time he became more translucent. Cecil helped him stand and walk toward the main hall. Everyone congratulated on their allies' victories. Cecil immediately asked Sheila to be in charge with the rare herbs for a while, after she makes some fresh tea from her stainless steel kettle. Injukhal assisted her and kept assuring everyone he was not the enemy by the time Cecil and the others saved their kind from Domin's wrath. Eventually agreed. Especially Sid. What the hell?
Cecil, are you mad again? Do you really think I'm going to accept this demonic dog? Sid! Sid, he's here to help. We can never have Rosa well without him. Only he knows how to use the glamour greens. No longer blinded by hatred, Sid saw the tea kettle the red man was holding. So you've succeeded then? You finally have them? There may be a chance for Rosa after all. She looks so blanched. I feared she might not make it. Please hurry and save her. He allowed Cecil and the Injukhal to do just that. Joanna and the white mages were startled, but Cecil calmed them down. She was still incapacitated, face as white as a cloud. Breathing was faint. Liquid was spilling out of her mouth. Slowly she drank it. The cup was empty by the time she was done. When he settled the cup on the nightstand, his body became rigid, closed his eyes as he finally disappeared completely. Cecil abruptly looked up and noticed the last remnant of the Injukhal was gone. Looked throughout the room. He was lost forever with his ancestors, his chief, and his people. Now the Injukhal were truly extinct, though he was glad they could rest in peace. After a few moments, Rosa finally began to stir. The paladin's tears began to fall. He couldn't stand to gaze at her any longer. His face sunk as he watched. Her hands started to caress him. Rosa, can you hear me? I knew you'd... She slowly opened her eyes. I knew you'd come back, whispered. Kissed her. Joanna went to the bed's opposing side. She was incredibly happy to see her daughter alive and well again. Mother? And the white mages, they're here. Yes, Rosa. We're prepared for the delivery. I hope our son or daughter will survive like you did. How are you feeling? She was feeling no pain or anxiety. She felt like she was almost invincible until... You can get through this. I know you can. You're a white mage. Cecil, the baby is coming. His face lit up. Then she gave a push and jets of water escaped. The delivery had just begun. White mages encircled her. The baby was about to crown. Outside of the drama, everyone but Kain was awaiting at the hall, including the dragoons, Elder, Palom, and Porum. Prayed for the deliverance. So, new prince or princess, despite the male prodigy's excitement, White was still next to Rydia, in whom Edge couldn't stay away from. Sheila was tending Ursula and Young. Beside Sid, there's the black mages Biggs, Wedge, Edward. He hopes he'll play a lullaby for the baby. Kain, on the other hand, was further away on the tallest roof. He was actually the only other observer who noticed the baby's cry. Later, Joanna walked down from the left staircase and announced, It's a boy! We have a son! Baron's new prince is born! Harvey family barely noticed the commotion, and Rosa was resting soundly. Baby started cooing. She eventually gave him to Cecil. He was so awestruck he never thought he'd see the day. With Rosa alive and his son safe and warm, never felt this overjoyed with anything before. To give them some privacy, the white mages left. Rydia marched up to them. It's a healthy baby boy! You did us proud, Rosa. Thank you, Rosa. She was so exhausted. She blushed a little. So, does he have a name? Yes, we've already picked one. She was surprised they already came up with one despite the chaos. Oh? What'd you decide on? Theodore. It was her turn to hold the baby for a little while before he'd been sent down to his crib. I like it. Theodore. Nice to meet you, Theodore. He didn't make much of a response. He was drifting off to sleep. I believe it's time even you should have a little shut-eye. I'll take him down and watch over him for you. Thank you, Cecil. No, thank you for everything. Kissed and encouraged her to rest. Throughout the day, Cecil kept watching Theodore through the bars of his crib, later took out the blood-crusted arrowhead he received, who was actually thankful for the shaman's help. He was the one who saved Rosa's life and accepted his kid being born. Someday, when he's not too busy, he'll preserve their legacy. He wouldn't want the Injukhal to be erased by the tests of time. He really owes them a lot, except for Domin. He was also glad he was able to keep his promise he made to Rosa months ago, to have their children born in a peaceful world rather than one ruled by war and death. He stood over his sleeping child. Theodore, my only son. Brushed away a strand of hair. I will owe my life to yours when the time comes. You will make a fine prince and king one day. But until then, sleep well. This was a brand new chapter in the king's life as well as the prologue of many others to follow. I should thank Azurelly for her ongoing support, especially Domin and her concept. I never played 12, so I didn't know who Vane is. But it's similar to Transkuja, as well as Necron, so I've heard. She had this idea for the two moons of Mars, Phobos, and Deimos. One is Greek for fear, the other is for terror, or terrifying. Latter was fitting. He was more like Vane. Domin is somehow related to Vane, as you would see here. Kind of running low on time here. She made a lot of combat skills, actually. I really owe her a lot. Lastly, of course, there was a birth of Theodore. While I'm not a huge fan of the sequel, I still thought it was a good idea to welcome him into the world. It's nice that Cecil and Rosa has an heir. Better than a miscarriage, that's for sure. Unlike another fanfic I've encountered. Thus, this concludes the fics for Final Fantasy IV, my all-time favorite DS game, and main installment in the Juggernaut. Really hope it gets more attention than 6 and 7. Maybe have Cecil as a playable character in Smash or in Kingdom Hearts rather than just overrated Cloud. Ugh. I'll always adore it with all my heart, and hopefully these stories will prove that. I'm the Ikran writer, and I'm gladly looking forward to what Final Fantasy IV has next. Not any more infamous ideas like the after years. See you soon. Yes! I'm finally finished with Final Fantasy IV! It's finally done! Yes! I'm also almost done with the Final Fantasy fics. I still have, like, a one-shot for one, actually. Damn! I am so ecstatic with this! And I'm also running low on time, so until then, this is the Ikran writer signing out. So, stay tuned for whatever I do next. And let's hope Final Fantasy IV would get more appreciation. See you guys later.